Mystery Lies Deep Episode 1 The Bennington Triangle. Forest Bermuda Triangle is very well known, but not quite so well known as the Bennington Triangle. The name given to a mysterious area in southwestern Vermont, by author Joe Citro, describing an area in which a number of people went missing between 1920 and 1950. Primarily known for the Battle of Bennington, the region is rich in historical events dating back to the 1700s. Bennington is fertile ground for ghostly events, folklore and supernatural occurrences. The region is often referred to as the Bennington Triangle due to the many odd, unexplained happenings within its surroundings, buildings and nearby mountains. Native Americans consider Glastonbury Mountain cursed and used it strictly for burying their dead. Locals believe that Native Americans regarded Glastonbury as cursed and avoided it, as well as tales of hairy wild men and other strange beasts in the woods. They believed the land to be cursed because all four winds met in that spot. There is also mention in Native American folklore of an enchanted stone which is said to swallow anything that steps on it. Over the years there have been between 30 to 40 unexplained disappearances on the mountain. It is known for certain that at least 5 persons from this area went missing, some of them on Glastonbury Mountain itself, between 1945 and 1950. These include 74-year-old Mida Rivers, 68-year-old James Tedford, 8-year-old Paul Jepson, 18-year-old Paula Weldon, and 53-year-old Frida Langer. Of these remains of only one was found, that of Frida Langer. Most reports on the subject view the circumstances as mysterious, as her body turned up in some tall grasses in an area that had been searched extensively a number of times in the 7 months between her disappearance and the discovery of the corpse in an area that had been searched many times, making it unlikely that the search teams had simply missed her. There were several strange circumstances surrounding these disappearances. These are just a few examples of people who have come up missing in the area. Because of the wide ranges of age and gender of the missing persons, it is thought that the possibility of them being victims of a serial killer is unlikely. This, combined with a lack of any evidence to offer support for any more prosaic explanation, has led many to speculate on possible paranormal causes, including abduction by UFO occupants, cross-dimensional wormholes, or attack by the Bennington monster. The trails stop partially up the mountain, suggesting that no one goes up there. When you walk into the woodlands of Glastonbury Mountain you don't hear anything living, it's as though even the animals don't dare to venture there. Paula Weldon, the 18-year-old college student who had recently taken up hiking, went to explore the mountain in 1946. Weldon was spotted on her way by several people, including drivers who gave her rides and fellow hikers who warned her that she wasn't dressed warmly enough to hike the mountain. Weldon's red coat made her easy to spot, but baffled searchers later couldn't find any sign of her or her brightly colored clothes. Her case became the most famous disappearance, mostly due to the fact that it caused Vermont to found its own state police force. With no police of their own, Vermont had only one state investigator to put on the case. Police from New York and Connecticut were eventually called in by Weldon's father, but she was never recovered. In 1949, 3 hunters went missing on the mountain. That same year, James Z. Tedford went missing while on a bus trip from St. Albans to the town of Bennington. In 1950, 8-year-old Paul Jepson went missing from his Bennington home. Police dogs were able to trace his scent to the highway but no further. He was coincidentally wearing a red jacket similar to Paula Weldon's coat. That year would see the last of the disappearances with Frida Langer. She disappeared while hiking with her cousin and friends. Her clothes had gotten wet during a hike and she went back to camp to change. When the group realized that she had never arrived, a massive search was launched. Volunteers, police, firefighters, and the military all joined together to search, but she was never found alive.
Frida Langer's body was found the following May. Search parties had previously heavily combed the field she was found in, leading authorities to speculate that there was foul play. Unfortunately, her body was too decomposed to give any insight into her cause of death. The advanced decomposition only made someone's decision to move her there more mysterious, though. The process would have likely been messy and conspicuous. Far more odd than the discovery of Langer's body are those that were never found at all. There is dangerous wildlife on Glastonbury Mountain, but their attacks leave behind tons of evidence. Bears don't usually swallow a person whole. Search parties were frustrated to find no signs of the missing people whatsoever. Both Weldon and Jepson were wearing bright red coats that should have been easy to spot on their own. Rivers and Langer seemed to disappear suddenly without being too far from their companions. Tetford's case is odder still, since he disappeared from a bus. He was surrounded by witnesses but still vanished between stops. The pattern of the disappearances has led some to suggest a serial killer was responsible. All of the people who vanished did so within the winter, which suggested something other than chance was at play. The first disappearances left no trace at all, and Langer's body was discovered in a place that had already been searched. Perhaps someone was extremely successful in abducting and killing people near the highway or on the mountainside. And, like many other killers, maybe that person succumbed to the desire to show off when they moved Langer's body into the open. It would explain why no traces have been found of the other victims and why Paul Jepson's trail went cold on the highway. It would even make sense in Weldon's case, since she hitchhiked to the mountain and may have accepted a ride home as well. As appealing as this explanation is, there are a few problems. The first is that Langer and Rivers went missing on the mountain near friends. It would be extremely risky for a serial killer to abduct someone with their friends within earshot. The second problem is that the victims don't follow a pattern. Serial killers tend to have a type. It would be extremely rare for one to pick up two elderly men, an 18-year-old woman, an 8-year-old boy, and a 53-year-old woman. An opportunity killer who is fine with a wide range of victims wouldn't fit the same profile as one who would be willing to risk grabbing Rivers or Langer near their parties. Without the serial killer theory, the next most interesting explanations are the supernatural ones. Each has its own flavor of strangeness, and it's hard to judge which is the wildest. High on that side of the spectrum is the man-swallowing boulder hidden among the cairns at the mountain's peak. No one knows how the cairns were assembled there or when, but they probably don't actually eat people. However, this description of people being swallowed whole into a rock may have sparked the cross-dimensional wormhole idea. And disappearances coupled with odd lights, sounds, and odors may have led to UFO conspiracy theories in the area. But the supernatural explanations tend to lack substance. Worse still, they've changed drastically over the years. Writer Joe Derwin has covered the strange folklore these mysterious hills and explains how the mythos of the triangle has changed with the times. When news reporters first reported on the Bennington Triangle phenomena, the explanation was tied into Native American legends. In the 1990s, the explanations shifted to UFOs and other ideas popularized by the X-Files. In the early 2000s, the myths circled back to Bigfoot and the Bennington Monster. Be sure to like, subscribe and comment on what you would love to see next from this twisted world.